Okay, excellent. Good morning, everyone. Joe, Charles, Ed, thanks for joining the panel. So I'm a bit far from you, but I think it's easy if I stay here, otherwise we would be a bit too crowded over there. Great, great. We have half an hour to talk about the supply landscape and how things are developing and what have been the main challenges so far. So if we could start like just also as an introduction, so just like briefly describing like who you are, what your company is currently doing on the dev market, and also just very briefly saying, thinking we had a very similar discussion last year, a very similar panel, and what has changed since? The current landscape is definitely different from what we had 1 year ago. So where have the main changes take place, and what is how's the market looking like now? So if you could, maybe Ed,
okay.
Can you start?
Yeah, I'll start. Name's Ed Wells. I'm Vice President of Environmental Solutions for Yara North America. And we've been active in the North American market since the introduction of DEF in 2010. Before that, we were one of the pioneers in Europe when AdBlue was introduced in 2006. So some of the things that have happened over this past year, certainly growth of more terminals have developed as the number of trucks and increase. Also the supply needs increase, and there's more of a focus on reducing logistics costs. So a lot of the attention in the industry has been focused on trying to move product more efficiently. So there's been a movement towards that efficiency in the advent and movement towards 50% urea, dilution facilities, if the center mass of the population and the growth of the vehicles meet the expectations. But that's one of the big changes that we've seen in the past year. We've been focused on upgrading our terminals to handle 50% in dilution, and just to build out our national network that we've developed in 2010.
Okay, thanks. Charles?
Good morning. My name is Charles Culverhouse. I'm the Vice President for Old World Industries. I oversee our global DEF business. It's been an interesting year. Actually, it's been an interesting market since the beginning in 2010. This year, we've seen a lot of things. Urea producers making more investment at their facilities in order to be able to not only produce more product, but also to clean up some of the bottlenecks that are there from a loading standpoint, being able to load more trucks, more rail cars. The imports, as they spoke about earlier, we continue to see solutionizers pop up all over North America. I think I saw a number of about 80. I think that number will be probably north of 120 within the next 12 to 15 months out in the marketplace. Truck stops really ramping up. That's not something we saw early on with regard to them getting into the production of this product, but over the last year, we've seen a multitude of facilities come up where the top-tier truck stop groups have set up their own infrastructure to make certain that they've got access to product 24/7 for the customer base that they've got. We as a company, we're here in the North American market. We continue to make investments. We acquired Victory Blue earlier this year, rolled those assets into our operation, which gave us another 7 production sites here in the North American market. But we're also a global player as well in this marketplace. So we're in South America. We're in China with regard to the anticipated growth and opportunities that are there. The Russian market, there's imports that are in there that are using this product. So we see it as a global opportunity as a company, and we think that there's going to continue to be more and more investment. This year, I do agree with Integer. We're going to see a lot of new capacity, domestic supply coming on, new players for the first time in the DEF market. And it's going to be an interesting market to see how, what those companies' strategies are with regard to pricing, how far can they move that product away from their terminals. So it should be a lot of fun for the next 12 to 18 months.
Great.
Good morning.
Thanks.
My name is Joe Elder. I work with CF Industries. I'm our DEF product lead there. You know, you're familiar maybe with CF in that, you know, we're one of the largest nitrogen supplier in North America. And we've been involved in the DEF business since the beginning of the DEF in North America. And, you know, we made significant investment in this and are committed to growing our business. We've recently made changes at many of our plants, including, that includes, you know, increasing our railcar capacity, increasing our load-out capacity, increasing our production capacity at these different locations that give us the ability to produce millions, hundreds of millions of gallons of product to supply to the marketplace. You know, talking about some of the changes, I think, you know, similar comments as what these gentlemen said. It's become somewhat more of a supply-driven market in the short term than demand-driven. I think the move to the concentrated products has become more of a focus than what we've seen from just across the market. People either solutionizing, you know, diluting or dissolving, whatever the case may be, and ultimately getting it into the finished product. We probably didn't think that would move as quickly as it has moved in the last year-ish time frame. So those are some of the key changes I think I've seen.
Okay, great. If I can start asking a couple of questions, and then we'll move to the audience, and you can ask questions as well. One thing I was going to ask you, you gave you've already answered, Charles, but I would like to get your thoughts of everyone as well. We have seen quite a growing number of dissolving, diluting facilities in over the past few years, and I was wondering if you consider there is still room for further growth on that. You did mention you expect 120 or even more by 2020. So first, Ed, Joe, do you think that is one of the main trends in terms of supply? Do you think we are going to see more product being made at dissolving, diluting facilities? And also, do you think there is room for both? For this growth is going to be like coming from facilities dissolving pure urea, diluting from concentrate. Where the trend for you?
You want me to start?
Go ahead.
All right, I'll start. I think that you will see some growth in dilution and dissolving North America, but however, I will say that that's not a solution for everyone. There are limitations on that. The cost of putting the equipment, you have to have sufficient volume to be able to justify the investment to do the dilution. And also there's some concerns about the testing. If you're testing every batch of it, that's also a significant cost. I know there's some out there now that are skipping a lot of the testing process, and that is very risky, and you shouldn't support that. If you look at the liability of the catalyst in every truck and the potential liability of shutting down these trucks, you have to be very, very cautious and not cut any corners. So will dilution grow? Absolutely, but it has to be done in the right manner. I mean, you have to have sufficient volume to justify investments in these facilities.
Okay, great. Charles?
So I mentioned we think there's going to be 120 plus locations in the near future that are solutionizing, diluting. But the question is, will they survive long term in this marketplace? It's one thing to make the investment to put the equipment in to where you're capable of producing this product, but do you have the throughput to justify that investment long term? Of that 120, today there are numerous that are trying to get out of the business. So they've made that investment, they've gone out in that local market area, They've attempted to pick up the volume to justify and see a return on that, but it hasn't come as easy as they thought it might. So I think we'll see a lot of locations spring up, but I think that we'll see numerous locations that will close down in the future. And a lot of that has to do with competition in the marketplace. In some cases, just the location. They're entirely too close to a urea plant. So potentially strategy wasn't necessarily well thought out. The urea producers, they've got a significant amount of product they're able to put out in those market areas. And can you produce it that close to some of these facilities and stay competitive long term? And once again, we're already seeing some of those groups that are looking to exit the market. So I think there'll be newcomers to the game, and I think we'll see some people exiting this industry over the next 5 to 7 years.
Thanks. And Joe, as a producer of DEF finished solution and concentrated solution, how do you see this non-integrated market developing?
This kind of leads me to the question. I mean, I think if you ask the four of us up here that are on the stage, what's the North American demand, you're going to get 4 different answers. Mm-hmm. I mean, so what is that true demand? What is the supply that's going to be available in North America? I don't feel as if that's firm. I don't feel as if that anybody has an absolute pure answer on that. So I do believe I agree with a lot of the comments these gentlemen made. I would say that, the North American producers they've made significant investments in this, and they're going to supply this market. I know we're a net importer of nitrogen here, but I think we will get to the point here where we will have enough supply in North America that we can supply a good portion, if not all of this DEF demand from North America.
Okay, great. Any further comments on this?
And talking about dilution, I think, as Charles may have alluded to, you're going to see a lot of consolidation happen. There's certainly those like the travel centers who have the volume to justify these. So I think they'll end up consolidating a lot of the market share. And they're certainly going to be very efficient, and you will see them grow in the future, in my opinion.
Okay, great. One question I had for you, Ed. So Yara has a strong presence in the North American market, but also in the European market, and with production in Europe coming to North America. But we are seeing the North American market is developing in terms of demand, but it's the same thing for the European market. Can you talk like how the companies comparing those markets, and what the company is currently doing in order to grow at the same pace in both markets? How's the choice? How do you choose whether you're going to supply Europe or ship to North America?
What Yara has done is make strategic investments in plants and assets for increased capacity. So we have added the necessary capacity. We just added another 1.5 million tons of production at another plant in Europe to be able to supply both markets. So Yara has more than doubled our production capacity over the past year in being able to supply the AdBlue and DEF markets. So we're well suited to equally supply both markets in the coming years in the growing demand. And this is not an investment that we made lightly. We've been very committed to the markets, and we've had a 10-year strategic plan, and we've followed through on that. This is not the investments that you get in lightly. You have to have a long-term strategy, and we feel confident that our investments will continue to pay off for our customers.
Okay, great. Are there any questions? Is there anyone? Okay, there's one here, and there's a microphone. Sage. So just tell us who you are, which company you're from. And
Good morning. Dave Simpson from General Motors. Just wondering if you guys have seen any evidence of quality issues with some of the imported Prill products turning into, being solutionized into DEF?
I'll start with that. There certainly has been some quality issues, especially on the West Coast, that have popped up that we've seen. And it's a variety of different issues. it's easy to, if you're dissolving prills, to cut corners or to get some prill in there that is not equally pure. I mean, who's policing the bags of prills and how they're doing, and following the entire supply chain and how the material is being dissolved and when it's being mixed with, when a lot of the shipments typically are mixed with ag quality products. So the purity spec, as you know, with the automotive quality prill is very, very tight. It can take a teaspoon of certain contaminants to get in there, and we certainly have seen some issues, especially with biuret levels and other things on the West Coast.
Charles, what's your experience with that?
Yeah, I agree with Ed. On the West Coast, you know, there are some reputable suppliers out of the China market as well as some other areas that have good quality product. And I think it's important that people understand who's capable of producing this grade of urea, of handling the product the right way and actually getting it to the North American market in order to produce the final product. So there has been some out-of-spec product that's been shipped into this marketplace. So the main thing is just really qualifying that product, make certain that you're testing it, the prill itself, the finished product after production, before you put it into the marketplace to make certain you're putting good quality product out there.
Great.
All I could really say on that is that CF Industries has had zero problems with imported product because we have not imported any product.
Great. Any other questions? Else? Ray. So, please.
One quick thing to Tim here. I'm Ray from DEF Products. You know, it'd be really helpful if you guys published sort of test results from these imported suppliers from China and kind of rank them. I think that would be very valuable to everybody here. What their actual, how they ranked in terms of quality from Indonesia and China. That would be valuable. And then one quick question to Joe. Any plans to making prilled urea for us DEF suppliers? You know, maybe ship it by rail and I'll buy your first car.
We don't have any plans to move toward a prill at this time, no. I mean, that's a rather costly endeavor. We are committed to growing our capabilities, and we can ship concentrate, and we've shipped quite a bit of 50% concentrate, but at this point we have no plans to ship prill.
And one point I'll make as well, just so everyone understands, because we've been talking about prill, but Yara's production is also synthetic. We use urea concentrate and DEF. We are not importing prills into the North American market.
Great. Joe, when you said in your introduction that the market that has currently been driven by demand and it would move to an oversupply scenario of oversupply with the new capacity coming online, how long do you think that this period of oversupply would last for? Because we would still see the demand would still be growing, and these additional capacities, they come punctually. So how long do you think it would take to turn things around?
Well, yeah, I think I'd have to borrow Tim's crystal ball to answer that very well, but I think it's, you know, it's relative. It'd be shorter term than what I'm used to being an old fertilizer guy, in that you know, this demand is growing at significantly higher pace than what we've ever seen in that world. So, you know, I think through, you know, 17, 18 time frame, and that, you know, you're going to see sometime into 18, you're going to still see some length, but I think it appears, you know, the numbers that I see, it appears as if after that time frame it could start to get a little bit better. But and that, you know, that's kind of the way we're looking at it from a fertilizer standpoint too. Is, you know, we think through 17 you're going to have continue to see quite a bit of length there. So, and sometime into 18 we see a little bit of improvement.
Great. Any other questions? No, we still have time for a few more. So let me know. Anyone? Okay, I'd like to get your thoughts about another thing we presented in the second that my colleague Alex presented. We saw that chart about urea imports over time automotive grade urea imports over time. And we saw there was a peak in 2015, but then 2016 volumes decreased a bit. Do you think those urea imports are likely to rebound and we're going to see more and more urea imported from China? Or do you think 2015 was a bit the exception and the current levels are likely to remain? How do you see this dependence on imported urea developing?
I'll take that first, if that's okay.
Please. Yeah.
I think why you saw the drop off in urea was related to the price of urea. When the price dropped substantially in 2016, I mean, they're out of the market. So I don't know that you want to really put your business at that type of risk where urea is going to hit a certain price and then your supply stops. That's a very risky supply chain and very risky to your business. So China is not the ultimate low-cost urea producer in the world. A lot of their production is derived from coal and not natural gas. There may be some changes to that in China in the future, but that's the reality of where it stands today. So it's related just to the price of urea, and I think you'll see the same. If prices stay low in North America, you're not going to see a big influx of imports.
Great. Charles?
I agree with Ed, but I also think that, our company, we buy from the domestic suppliers. We've got contracts with them, as well as we're an importer for the feedstock material to produce this product. I think a lot of this also, there's still imports that are coming in from China today. There are some of the groups that are still competitive in certain markets. West Coast, I don't think we'll see a urea plant come up in California anytime soon. So there are certain markets where prill really makes sense. But I also think that we've seen some of the urea producers really get aggressive in certain areas from a pricing strategy standpoint to basically bring that volume back into the domestic fold per se. So it really is dependent upon pricing, what's going to allow you to be as competitive in a particular market as possible. So we've seen some of the domestic suppliers reach out further and pick off some of that import business. So I think there's a lot of factors that are driving that.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is I agree that domestic producers will get more aggressive on that. And I think the other factor there is ocean freight is a big impact on that. Ocean freight is still relatively cheap and will continue to be so, for, some period of time here. Some people say another 12, 18 months, it'll still be very, very competitive for ocean freight. And that impacts that import as well significantly.
Great. Any final questions? Anyone else need to ask anything to the panel? Or just make any comments on the supply landscape, anything? Okay, good. One last question I had to you, Charles, is related to market channels and packaged product. We know them particularly in the beginning of the market, we saw we were mainly selling packaged because volumes are still very, very small, and then there is a natural shift towards bulk distribution when fleets increase and start using consuming larger amounts of DEF. There's still a lot of packaged product available in the North American market. Can you just tell a bit how this retail network for jugs has developed so far, and do you see further development on this?
So when the market began, our company, for those who don't know, we manufacture Blue Def, which is our house brand of diesel exhaust fluid, as well as a multitude of other private labels that we do for many of the OEMs and so forth. Initially in the market, when the industry began, our DEF business probably was 90% packaged product and very little bulk, because at that time there really were no fleets that were needing bulk. But we've quickly seen that transition over the years to where now I would say 80+% of our business is actual bulk business. So the packaged product is an adequate size container for many consumers. We think that they'll continue to use that. But there is a major shift to, packaged to drums to totes, and now a multitude of our customers are taking true bulk 5,000-gallon deliveries. With the passenger car market, we thought that that was going to be a very nice market to be in, but with the issues that came about with the German manufacturers, I think VW was ranked #1 with regard to diesel personal vehicles, and they pulled out of the market completely. So that volume is no longer there, or that opportunity is no longer there. But we think packaged goods are here to stay. It'll be a much smaller percentage of the overall market. The retailers will continue to sell it because they want to make certain if their customer base needs it, that they've got it there for them. But the business has definitely transitioned to bulk.
Okay, great. We're getting to the end. Any final thoughts you have about the current supply landscape and what's next? What is the next challenge, and what we need to really put our heads together to sort out? Any final thoughts?
I would say the next challenge for the producers is continue to stay focused, continue to make investments, although that the commodity prices have dropped substantially over the past 3 years. Just look towards the future, and because there are no cutting corners, you have to make the right investments and make sure that the purity standards are followed.
Great. Charles?
Yeah, there'll continue to be a lot of investment over the next few years. I mean, it's going to require it. If you think, I think the forecast that they showed was at about 617 million gallons for this year. That potentially is going to double over the next 5 years. Are there enough transport trucks on the road today to handle that kind of volume? Enough bulk storage to be able to service those customers' needs? Enough bulk equipment at the actual end users' locations to receive 5,000-gallon deliveries and purchase the product in the most competitive fashion. So we've still got a long way to go from an investment standpoint, but I think the producers and those players in the market today are serious about being here, and will continue to make those investments as deemed necessary to stay ahead of the growth. I mean, at the end of the day, this thing is going to grow for many, many years, and it's going to take a significant amount of investment to make certain that we're able to service the market properly.
Yeah, it's still so immature at this point. We've got a long ways to go on that, and there will be capital, but capital is competitive as well. So to get the necessary capital to do things is you really have to build your case well. I think that, I talk with, my perspective is a little different than these two gentlemen maybe, but, one of the things I say about the producers, I always say is that, we want to make it and get it out the door and let these guys, Charles and his team distribute it, and so really for us, it's a lot about execution and a lot about really just getting better at that and supplying, and the downstream supply come from people like this.
Okay. Excellent. We've got to the end of the panel discussion. So first of all, thanks for joining. Great. And I think we're moving to the break now. All right. Yeah, so we'll be back at 11:15. Yeah, great. Thank you very much.